What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you checking in. All right, let's talk about Jamal Adams. Obviously, three-time Pro Bowler, former first-round draft pick. He comes on over. He rejoins Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has plenty of history with Jamal Adams, and he brought him in for a reason. But I kind of want to give my take in just what do I think Jamal Adams' role will be in this Patrick Graham system, right? How does Jamal Adams' skill set and attributes play into what Patrick Graham wants to do? And sometimes you don't just take a look at what Patrick Graham has done with the Raiders. Sometimes you have to kind of go back a little bit. What did Patrick Graham do with the New York Giants when he was the defensive coordinator over there? And just kind of see how did he use players that have similar traits to what Jamal Adams can now bring to this defense. And so we're going to kind of break that down. I'm going to give you my opinion as to what role I think Jamal Adams can play. We're going to take a look at his stats, but I'm also trying to still look for what his contract's going to look like. I looked around a little bit. I really couldn't see anything. I'm dropping this video on Wednesday, July 23rd. And so if you're viewing this video and the numbers have come out, do me a favor, put them in the comment section down below, because that I think is going to play a massive role as to whether or not this is a good pickup, right? This could be a low risk, potentially high reward signing if Jamal Adams can kind of get back to his old Jets days and obviously stay healthy. But one thing I did do is he played for the Tennessee Titans as well as the Detroit Lions last year. And Tennessee signed him for a 1-year, $1.2 million contract. And one thing you got to take a look at is he's waited so long in free agency to get picked up, and he also carries a lot of that injury history. I can't imagine that he's extended a contract no more than what he signed for last year, again, which was around 1.2 million. And so I could see him be around what Devin White possibly signed for, right? Devin White is basically on a one-year, $1 million contract. If Jamal gets anything more than he signed last year, I am not going to be a fan of the contract that we extend his way. So again, I'm going to look out for it. If you do see the numbers, if you can, put in the comment section, I definitely appreciate it. But before we get into it, if you can, hit that like button, subscribe, turn those notifications. My next giveaway is at 5,500 subscribers. So as soon as I hit that milestone, that giveaway will go down. So hit that sub button as well as that notification bell. It's just my way of saying thank you and showing my appreciation to all my subscribers, all my viewers, and people that have rocked with me since starting this channel in early 2023. So I definitely appreciate you. And also, if you are attending the open practice on August 2nd, let me know in the comment section. We're going to be doing a little bit of a meetup, a bunch of Raider fans just chopping it up at the Parkway Tavern off of Decatur and Flamingo. As soon as the open practice ends, we're going to head on over there. Again, it's the Parkway Tavern, Decatur, off of Flamingo and Decatur, just a little bit northwest of the stadium. And so definitely hit me up in the comment section if you're rolling, if you want to rock out with the Raider Nation and just chop it up. All right, so let's take a look at the stats. I'll bring them up here. Obviously, height and weight, 6'1", 213 pounds. He's going to enter the season 29 years old, former first-round draft pick by the New York Jets in 2017. So let's kind of scroll on down, and we will take a look at his stats. Obviously, his strongest years were with the New York Jets, and then injuries just started to plague him. Now, the one thing I will say, in 2023, when he ended with the Seattle Seahawks, again, ended that season with an injury, he did play 9 games with a total of 48 tackles as a safety. Now, obviously, he's more of a box safety, so he's in the action every single play. But to be a safety, only play 9 games and actually have 48 tackles is extremely impressive. And then he ended up leaving Seattle and then jumping around teams from Tennessee to Detroit in the 2024 season. And obviously, we now have picked him up, and he's the new member of the Silver and Black. And so I'm going to go back up to the big screen and kind of give you my takes as to why we possibly acquired him and kind of what does he bring to the table. And first and foremost, obviously, he provides competition. He provides competition and a veteran presence. We do not have a true veteran that we can rely on, especially being a former 3-time Pro Bowler, someone that's going to come into practice every single day, this locker room, and really help set the tone for practice every single day. So you got that veteran presence, but again, also competition. You know, he's going to come in, he may have a chip on his shoulder, reuniting with Pete Carroll. Sometimes a player just needs to have somebody that kind of has trust in him, that you know you brought him in for a reason. And so will Jamal Adams come in with the chip on his shoulder and really come in and try to produce 100% and maybe play with a renewed confidence now that you know you're playing for someone that you formerly played for, Pete Carroll, that has trust in you? And so one thing that I take into consideration is what's the makeup of this roster already. And one of the players that we acquired in free agency is Jeremy Chinn. Jeremy Chinn is going to come in, and he's a very physical safety, a box safety that's going to really be a tone setter. Now, what happens if Jeremy Chinn goes down, right? You need someone to replace him and not have to completely change the scheme of this defense. And what Jamal Adams does bring is he brings a very similar skill set as to what Jeremy Chin has. Bringing in someone that's going to directly compete with Jeremy Chin, but also that true backup just in case an injury does happen. And so iron sharpens iron, and bringing in a former three-time Pro Bowler to kind of be on the heels of Jeremy Chin, I do think is a very good move, because I don't see anybody else in the secondary that kind of possesses that box safety, downhill hitter mentality within this defensive back room. So I definitely think competition is going to be huge by bringing Jamal Adams in. Now, if you take into consideration Jamal Adams' better skill set, right? He's a physical box type of safety. He's not going to really help too much in the coverage side of things. And so one thing I like to take a look at is how has Patrick Graham used those type of guys in the past? And one of the guys that kind of came to mind, again, back when he was with the New York Giants as the defensive coordinator, he had Jabril Peppers for 2 years, I believe. And the way that he used Jabril Peppers is Jabril Peppers was up on the line of scrimmage. He almost looked more like a linebacker as opposed to a true safety. And I can see us using Jamal Adams in that way, where he's going to be up with the other two linebackers, with Jermaine Pratt, with Elandon Roberts, right? And playing inside the box, pressing up some of those tight ends, and being another player that has a nose for the football, that can play close to the line of scrimmage, play sideline to sideline, and provide that extra run support. I think that's a role that he could potentially play on this defense. In addition to that, I can see Patrick Graham dialing up some very scary blitzes with the defensive personnel that we now have, with Jeremy Chin, Elandon Roberts, Jermaine Pratt, and now you have Jamal Adams. Patrick Graham brought a lot of pressure last year with the linebackers, even with the safeties. Trayvon Merrick was always playing up around the line of scrimmage, and he was coming off the edge. He was blitzing quite a bit. And if you go, again, going back to his New York Giants days, Patrick Graham ran a 3-4 over there with the New York Giants, and he dialed up some blitzing schemes where he was coming from all angles. And so this is something that, by adding Jamal Adams, now Patrick Graham can be very creative with some of his blitz schemes, his blitz packages, and also playing around with some of the fronts. Because one of the things he did last year was that he normally ran a 4-3 defense, right? He ran a 4-3 front. Last year, we saw him start to kind of move to a 5-2. And so I don't think Patrick Graham is afraid of kind of mixing up defensive fronts and bringing in a Jamal Adams and use him as more of like an overhang type of linebacker, someone you can move around and play in multiple positions, and you never know where the pressure is going to come from. So again, just another weapon to allow Patrick Graham to potentially just be more creative as it relates to the defensive fronts and schemes that he can show opposing offenses. So it has the potential to be pretty exciting. The blitz packages can be extremely scary for offenses. And the second to last point that I want to make is, without question, if he does make this 53-man team, he can be an absolute stud in a solidified spot on special teams. Obviously, with the new kickoff rule, you definitely need guys that are more athletic, more guys that are just absolute ball hawks to get down there on kickoff. And so he will be a solid special teams player. And you got to remember, special teams is a third of the game, so you can't forget about it. You need to have the best people you can on special teams to make sure that's not one of the reasons why you end up losing a football game. And so at the very minimum, he's going to provide a solid special teams player for this upcoming season. And now look, even if Jamal Adams makes this team and he all of a sudden starts making plays again, whether it's on defense or on special teams, I think at the end of the day, all of us Raider fans should continue to kind of hold our breath and hope that he stays healthy, because that's the reality of Jamal Adams. The reason why he's bounced around, the reason why he just hasn't been able to really solidify himself anywhere is because of the fact that he continues to get injured. And so, again, if he does ball, unfortunately, we all got to still hold our breath. But at the end of the day, I definitely want to see what the contract is. So as a reminder, if the contract does come out after I drop this video on Wednesday, July 23rd, please, if you can, put it in the comment section so we all know. But I do hope that it's no more than what he got with the Tennessee Titans last year, which was a 1 year, around $1.2 million deal. And so with that said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of the Jamal Adams sighting? Are you excited about it? Or do you think this is potentially just a camp body and he doesn't really have a chance to make this 53-man roster? Let me know in the comment section down below. So I appreciate you sticking with me. If you can, hit that like button, subscribe, turn those notifications. My next giveaway is at 5,500 subscribers. So if you want to be included, hit that sub button. But also, if you're attending the open practice on August 2nd, let me know in the comment section down below. And we're doing a little meetup of Raider fans, Parkway Tavern, Decatur, off of Flamingo and Decatur, just northwest of the stadium, right after the end of that open practice. So let me know in the comment section if you are down to meet up, and we'll have a good time. So I definitely appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.